Welcome back. This time we're talking about The Breadwinner, the latest animated film from Irish studio Cartoon Saloon. Now, each year I watch the Academy Awards, and admittedly, I've seen a lot more movies than most people, but even with that, there are typically a few nominees that I had not previously heard about before. And this happens a lot in the animation category because typically these lesser known films that do score a nomination don't get any kind of theatrical release until well after the Academy Awards. Now, in the case of The Breadwinner, I did not know of its existence prior to the Academy Awards and only had a chance to actually watch it via Netflix because the film is already out on home video, online rental, and is currently, as this video is being recorded, available on Netflix. Now, this was the third Academy Award nomination for Cartoon Saloon, whose previous works, The Secret of Kells and The Song of the Sea, were both previously nominated. This film goes in a very different direction than the studio's previous works, adapting the novel by Deborah Ellis about a young girl living under the harsh rule of the Taliban in 2000 or 2001 era Afghanistan. That was not a good time to be a woman specifically in that country under that rule. The story follows this young girl, Parvana, after her father is arrested by local Taliban soldiers for pretty much imagined crimes just because they didn't like him. And this leaves her and her family in very dire straits. Under Taliban rule, women cannot even walk the streets without being accompanied by a man, which means they can't go to the market where they cannot be sold products. They cannot get a job to raise money. So Parvana, her mother, her older sister, and her younger brother are in very, very dire straits. This ultimately leaves Parvana to cut her hair because she is young enough that with short hair she can pass as a young boy. This allows her to leave the house and not only start earning some money for her family, but also try to find a way to free her father from prison. Along the way, she learns of just how much freedom a young boy has compared to her as a young girl. Now, interspersed through this story of her trying to protect her family and save her father is this sort of fairy tale that she's telling to her younger brother because her father was always telling her stories. So she ends up telling this story, and this is where we really get to see the more fantastical animation style that we're more familiar with from Cartoon Saloon in their previous works. And they do a good job of intersplicing the more realism of her day-to-day life and the more fantastical elements of this story. You can see it in the color palettes. You can see it you can hear it in the music. They did a really good job of interspersing these together and having them thematically connect, especially at the end. Speaking of the end, I'm not going to spoil anything, but how it ends, maybe I should say, or when it ends. Not everything is tied up as neatly as you might hope it would, but considering the situation that these characters are in and the overall situation of that country over the last nearly 20 years, it's understandable why they ended it where they did, and I think it ultimately works. If you're looking for a political statement, that's not here. This is about the people of Afghanistan, and specifically women, and how the Taliban rule was extremely oppressive to them. And that comes across very strongly, as well as one young girl's efforts to find a way to fight against it. This is a film that I really enjoyed, one I wish I had seen much earlier, but it is, like I said, is now available on home video, and at least at this moment on Netflix streaming. So if you're looking for an animated film to watch, it is rated PG-13. It does have some thematic elements that you would expect from a story like this that are more intense than your typical U.S. animated release, or even Cartoon Saloon's previous works. So do keep that in mind, but I don't think there's anything horribly offensive with this movie. There is some blood near the end, but it's mostly the thematic elements and the oppression that these characters are dealing with, and I think that's a story that maybe not the youngest audience, but younger audiences can understand and find some lesson there maybe. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you've seen The Breadwinner, what did you think about it? As always, you can subscribe to my channel, check out some of my other reviews, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.